forward to this computer, please. Okay, we are recording. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Abby Silvers, and I am the graduate assistant for New Mountaineer and Family Engagement. Today, we are hosting an online student panel, and I'll go ahead and let our panelists introduce themselves. And so let's start with Cameron.
All right. Hi, I'm Cameron. I'm a middle level education major with concentrations in science and social studies. I'll be graduating in December of 2026. Thank you. I am a member and officer in the CMLA, the Collegiate Middle Level Association for Middle Level Teachers. This is an affiliate of the AMLE, a National Association of Middle Level Educators. And in this club, I am the historian in charge of our social media, which will be launched very shortly.
All righty. Awesome. Some good involvements there. Okay, Eileen.
Hi, my name is Eileen Guzman Hernandez. I'm majoring in social work. I'm a senior and I'm graduating this semester. Hopefully, everything goes well. Um, within App State, I am a part of a couple academic societies, and I'm also completing the social work departmental honors program. And I'm working closely with Dr. Trahan, Miss Sarah Donovan, and and Alexander Eitzman, researching limited English proficient populations and the barriers they face in being able to access government assistance programs. And that is systematic literature review that I'm working on with them. And outside of school, I am the co-chair of the BSEP program for Sampson County, and that stands for Breast and Cervical Cancer Control Program. Um, Basically, what our program does is we provide services for uninsured or underinsured women and being able to connect them to the appropriate providers so they can receive the screening and testing they need to improve their probabilities of early cancer detection.
Dude, that is awesome. You'll have some pretty great involvements. Okay. Well, thank you guys for being here today and for joining our panel. And so I'll go ahead and start us off with the first question. And so our first question is, what does your typical week look like? And what helps you stay on track? And I'll bounce it off to Cameron first again.
Yeah, as an education major, their weeks are pretty jam-packed, especially when you get to be a junior and a senior in the upper levels. When I'm not interning at a school or student teaching, which I will be in the fall, I'm usually at home, catching up on schoolwork. So reading, writing, creating lesson plans, specifically for education majors, and then submitting coursework. When you get higher up in this level, your 3000 level courses, you do have a lot of coursework and you have to keep up with it. So in addition to school, I substitute teach. I've been doing that for several years now, and I coach soccer. In the fall is when our season starts, boys soccer, JV at the high school level. Usually my time, if I'm at home doing schoolwork, I'll divide that up so I don't get too bogged down, and I will kind of watch some soccer clips, plan in my mind what I would like to do for a practice, and sort of come up with drills that could be productive for my kids. Um, a lot of members in my cohort, specifically in the middle level grades, also work as substitute teachers, which I think is a privilege that online students have, right? Some of my cohort have other jobs like servers. One of my cohort is a vet tech, so she gets to work with animals during the day, which is fantastic. And to stay on track with our busy schedule, I like to sort of keep my calendar. I do have a calendar right next to my workspace. I have an online calendar on my phone, our Google Calendar for App State. And I like to make sure that I'm writing our assignments, anything that's due that's not necessarily coming up in the dashboard on As You Learn. I like to make sure I write everything down. I think that's a big deal with um, any online student or any student at all, is making sure you write down your assignments, things you need to do, events you want to go to, or have to for school. So the calendar next to my workstation is dry erase. So every month it resets. Writing, in my opinion, helps you remember things. So physically writing your calendar and writing in a planner is very beneficial, at least for me. Um, and on your phone, you need to make sure if you're using your calendar on your phone, turn on all of your notifications. Because if you don't get that notification, you may not realize, oh, I had something due today, or something might slip through the cracks, right? So the written calendar works best for me. And having a cohort that you can lean on to help remind you of things that you need to get done is really beneficial as well.
Oh yeah. Before Google Calendar was introduced to me, I had a paper calendar and I had the highlighters. I did the whole spiel. And then now, if it's not on the Google Calendar, it is not going to happen. And so that's awesome. That's also cool that you coach soccer too and do all that.
Yeah, thanks.
Lesson plans as coach plans. I love that.
Mhm.
I
That coaching and teaching go hand in hand. It's very important. If you're going to coach, you need to know how to teach. It's the same set of students that you're going to see in the classroom, and especially in the public school system. Um, Coaching in a public school is more than just teaching skills, and getting somebody to be really good at a sport. It's really developing character. Character development is one of my focuses with coaching JV sports specifically, because these kids are learning how to be adults at this age, and they have to learn what's right, what's wrong, how to treat others. And personally, I think that's a lot more important than that skill level that some people have. That's what club sports are for.
Oh, yeah. And they're moving now to a different foundational level of things as well. And this is something, how can you enjoy something outside of school too, but still be passionate about it and work for it? It's also cool. You've seemed to take every opportunity to almost kind of use your degree in different ways and in different
Absolutely.
places as well. And so that's pretty awesome to see, Cameron.
Thanks.
Eileen.
I think just like Cameron, I have my plate completely full. I work full time as a community health worker for the Sampson County Health Department, specifically for our two outreach programs that provide care management for at-risk children and high-risk pregnancies. I am also going to school full time. This semester, I'm tackling on 17 credit hours, which they typically before were between 12 and 15. But this semester, I'm taking on 17 to be able to complete the departmental honors requirements. And I also commute 2 hours to work every day. So 1 hour there and 1 hour back.
Oh my.
So I know. And it really what's helped me kind of keep on track is time management and discipline, which has been really, really hard because I have ADHD. And so, even with the help of my lovely medication, I still am not able to, I still struggle sometimes to concentrate, to stop procrastinating or doom scrolling on TikTok. So it takes a lot of discipline to be able to meet all of the deadlines on time. And thankfully, not thankfully because I hope this will happen one day, but I don't have any children right now that take up all that time. So I know that some other people that I are in my program do have children and they balance that too. But I do have clingy fur babies, and so they're probably just as bad. But what helps me, I actually did not find a regular planner helpful at all, because if I don't see it, then it's non-existent. And so what I've done is I will grab a piece of paper, or I now have Good Notes on my iPad, and I will list every single class that I have, put every assignment under each class, and to the right, I put the day of the week that it's due. And so I start prioritizing. So if I know this class has a discussion board on Wednesday and this other one has a test on Friday, then I know that, well, with the short time that I do have throughout the day, then I need to go ahead and start doing whatever's due first. And at the bottom, I do make a section where I list all of the big assignments that are coming up in the semester. And it kind of serves as a reminder, okay, well, in about 4 weeks, I have this report due, and I probably need to start working on it in probably next week. And that same tab, the section is put onto the next week. So that's something that's been really helpful. And really, it is more about prioritizing. And even though I try to steal away a couple moments for myself, I know that I need to be super applied if I'm trying to get things turned in on time.
Oh yeah. I'm a big, once I get that syllabus, I am writing that information somewhere. I'm saying,
Yeah.
oh, we aren't having class today, or this big assignment is due and stuff like that. I'm a big proponent of that. It's also bad for me. I'm like, if it's out of sight, it is out of mind. And so being able
Mhm.
to keep something where it is right at that focal point is important
Yeah.
to me.
And that reminded me something that Cameron had said about turning all your notifications on. That is very true. And
Mm.
also, what I do is that if I know, if I think at the moment, oh, I got to email such and such person, I will go into my actual phone and set an alarm for where I'm going to be at home by 8 p.m. So I'm going to set an alarm to send an email to this person because otherwise I'm going to forget.
Yes.
My host teacher does that. Like he has at least 800 of those alarms that go off constantly, and each one has a different tone. So each notification has a different sound that goes with it. And I think that like it triggers something in his mind that says, okay, I know I have to do this. And the alarm won't go off until he does it.
That is
Yes.
so innovative. I will like put time on my calendar. Like if I need to email someone tomorrow, I will block off 30 minutes. Doesn't mean I have to do it during that time, but I check that calendar every day, so I'll see it. And so I haven't even thought about it's like Pavloving him in some type of way.
Yes.
That's so that is creative. Oh my gosh. Now, Eileen, I just have to ask, are you a podcaster on that drive, an Audible, a music listener?
Oh.
What are we doing here?
So sometimes, like this semester, I've had to read two books for two different classes. So sometimes I'll listen to that. But mostly, I am a Kindle, Libby, um, Audible kind of girl.
Here we go.
And before I started school, at the beginning, I had quite a bit of time to read still physical books. But because a lot of it has taken up my time, I still want to be, still participate in the activities and hobbies that I had before. And so I will listen to audiobooks mostly on the way home. And I will go ahead and let my partner know. I'm like, just letting you know, it's been a long day. I need to decompress, and I have an hour to become a human being again by the time I come home. So it's been really nice too. And there's a lot of affordable options because I know Audible is kind of expensive. And for people who might not know and love Kindle, you can actually download the Amazon, or sorry, the Alexa app and have Alexa read your books that are in your Kindle library. Yeah. And Libby, if you don't know, with the North Carolina library card, you can get
Mhm.
your books there too.
Give the
I'm an exclusive Libby person.
yes, we'll talk about reading after this. I feel like we'll keep you on this. Okay. The next question, our second one. What advice would you give to someone who is still trying to find their sense of community as an online student? And I'm going to start with Eileen first this time.
Oh.
I would say take the leap and don't be afraid to take up space and ask questions. One of my concerns starting, and I actually mentioned it a couple times to whenever we had panels or we had some kind of like meeting with a mentor. I'm like, what can I do? Because I feel so disconnected being so far away. And they really advised me, well, contact your professors, email them, use their office hours. And I was kind of scared, but eventually I did. And everything changed after that because I definitely don't think a lot of the things that I would be doing today within my program, I would have been able to achieve on my own all the way over here. And then also reaching out to your local health departments, departments of social services, community agencies to ask about opportunities about volunteering for programs that you're interested in or populations you're passionate about helping. Once you identify those social issues or population groups that you really are passionate about and would like to help, you'll find other people who feel the same. And then you'll eventually start working to advocate for those marginalized communities.
Oh, yeah. A lot of times it is just about who you know, and getting that one step in the door will just open up so many others.
Definitely. And really, it was how I got into the BSEP program. I saw that they were advertising their they're taking in like board members, and I did start off as a board member, and by the following year, I had put in the work and I was nominated a co-chair. So it is until you put yourself out of that comfort zone that you'll find these opportunities and find a community that you're really close to and have that you can relate to the kind of things that you want to do in your community and within school as well.
That's awesome. Okay, passing it over to Cameron.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything Eileen said. It is hard when you are an online student, especially when you're an older student. You're coming back into the education program and you're still trying to like find your footing a little bit. Um, I attended a regular university in person straight out of high school, and I just wasn't ready for that kind of environment. I took a step back, took a few years off of school, took classes here and there, but I was never fully immersed or integrated into the online society, if you will. And again, like Eileen said, like take a leap and don't be afraid to take up space. What she said like really grasped onto me because it is true. Like if you don't advocate for yourself, if you don't immerse yourself in the experience, if you don't take the initiative to do that, you're not going, no one's going to go out of their way to bring you into the fold, right? So I agree with Eileen. You need to reach out to your professors. They want to talk to you. They want to get involved. They want your success just as much as you want your success. So I really recommend like talk to your professors, especially in the education program. We have some phenomenal professors in the middle level educators program. They are great and they love their students. Um, Speaking of getting involved, like that's the best part is to get involved with your cohort, get involved with people that are in your major, because you might find like there are some people out there who are exactly like you are and this whole time you thought you were alone. You thought you were the only one in your situation. Um, this group, this club that we've established, it was a part of App State a long time ago. Then COVID hit and everything stopped, right? So we're bringing it back. And this is at the behest of a couple of our professors, but mostly education majors in online majors and in-person majors. And we get together, we communicate over Zoom. We have a text chain. We're in a group me now. And we have officers that are both online and in-person students. So we're bridging that gap between online and in-person students and communities. So I did find a hard time or have a hard time finding that sense of community at first. But with the help of my cohort, with their support and their encouragement of communicating your whatever's going on in your life, if something's not right, something's hurting you, and you need to just get out and talk to somebody, it's great to talk to people who are in the same position as you are, taking the same classes, getting the same out of what you're in school for. In addition to that, I suggest if you're a education major, become a substitute teacher. You're going to build connections, you're going to network, you're going to make friends. You might meet some people you don't like, but most importantly, you're going to have these connections with people that will carry you into your professional life. So I highly recommend like advocating for yourself. Get out there, don't be afraid. People have a similarity with you more than you think. They might be exactly like you. And I've found that several times now. So yeah, to reiterate, just like Eileen said, take up space and advocate for yourself, put yourself out there, and don't be afraid.
Oh yeah. And I love that you guys have brought this up because sometimes it just takes one person saying, like, I want us to have a community for everybody else to be like, I also want to
Mhm.
have a community. Let's have a community. And it just takes kind of like that domino effect of you pushing it, especially at an institution that is predominantly undergrad in person, definitely making that space and advocating for you, for yourselves as a program, as individuals is really awesome and really cool to hear as well. Okay. Third question, moving on. How do you manage? And I know we kind of talked a little bit about this, especially with the Google Calendar, but how do you manage balancing school with other responsibilities in your life? And we'll start with Cameron.
Okay. Yeah, because my major is in education and my other parts of my life revolve around school, it's, I wouldn't say easy, but it's a little bit more seamless than, say, someone who works as a server in a restaurant, going between school and their job. I'm able to find connections in everything that I do. I'm able to get ideas from other teachers that will inform my EdTPA and portfolio, and lesson planning is a big deal. So for me, it's not so hard. However, I do have members of my cohort who have trouble trying to build that bridge, and trying to combine their personal lives with their school lives, and it is challenging for some. There are some people who are planning their weddings right now, which is a big deal. When you are constantly doing schoolwork, you don't really find time for yourself too often. But I think it is important to remember, like, you are still a person. You still need to have an aspect of your life that is not revolved around school. I found that it's challenging for me to get away from school because my world revolves around it. But finding time for family has been a big challenge and something that I've been working at, and visiting with my grandparents and my cousins, like people who are back home where I'm from. I try to get out of my house, away from my workspace, and sort of put school to sleep for a few days or a few hours, whatever you can do to just separate yourself a little bit and remind yourself, like Eileen said, you are human and you need time to become that person again, after a hard day's work or a long day writing papers.
Yes, I try, like, you are always a human first, and sometimes student second, but sometimes student third and fourth. That's, and
Yeah.
sometimes that's how it has to be.
And school's going to be there. It's going to be there when you get back. It's not going anywhere.
Going to be there. And professors have been in the same boat you have. It may have been a minute, but I think that
Mhm.
a lot of times it can intimidate someone to ask for that extension or ask for maybe some more time, even if it's just a day. But a lot of times the worst they can say is no. So, Eileen?
Um, Again, kind of touching back, like you said, what we had answered before, self-discipline, oh my God, I can't talk, discipline and transparency, um, with myself, with work, and with school. Um, because sometimes it's scary to ask for that extension. It's scary to ask for that day off. I'm thankful that really, if it wasn't for my job, that I started back in 2019, I don't think I would have chosen this career path. And I found a calling in life, so I was very grateful. So my job, also kind of similar to Cameron, goes hand in hand. And so I have a super supportive support systems at home and at work. And I'll go and I'll be honest. I'm like, look, I miscalculated what I could do. I might need to take tomorrow off, or I might need to take the next week off. And for example, with me completing this the thesis, I was like, look, I'm getting close and I still have a lot to do. Could I please use my time off? And that's like you said, it was the worst they can say, no. And then you'll just make it work and always advocate for yourself. Thankfully, I haven't had to give pushback for anyone because they've always been so gracious with me. But I think that asking for grace isn't weakness. It's more self-awareness about what you realistically can achieve. And it doesn't mean that you're not good at something. It just means that you need a little bit more time. So whatever you're turning in at school isn't being compromised by you trying to rush and turn something in. And a lot of the times, at least specifically for the social work program, I've never encountered a professor who has told me no. I will give them an explanation like, I don't even need to hear it. All I need to know is if you need help, we'll give it to you. I also do, and I work wherever, and I mean wherever I can, which I know some people might find that a little like too much, but I specifically love learning, and I didn't realize that I would love research so much. So it's not so taxing for me to take it everywhere with me, but I will make sure that as soon as, let's say, our family dinner is about to start at the restaurant. We've been waiting for a table for like an hour. Once that comes up, I'm putting everything away and I'm giving my family my undivided attention and making sure that I'm present for those moments. And working smarter, not harder. I use apps to help me get through schoolwork, specifically audio apps. I know our textbook bookshelf, the app will have a audio option that they can read it to you. I also, if you're able to get other apps like Speechify, you can upload your PDFs, the material, and it'll read it to you. And if you want to be fancy and can afford the premium, you can have Snoop Dogg read to you, which is what I do.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah, so I try to make everything that I'm gonna do a little bit fun, because otherwise I'm gonna drift off and I'm not gonna capture anything. And I use these apps while I'm cooking, while I'm cleaning, while I'm commuting sometimes, while I'm walking my dogs. Still being able to take that time for them and stealing moments for yourself. So after um, a hard assignment, let's say I've just got done with like a 8-page paper and I need to take a step away, I will take my dogs and myself down a Dairy Queen and get me a Blizzard and get them a pup cup. So it even having a step away, it doesn't have to be something big to call it balance. You can find the joy in the smaller things too, in between what you have going on.
Yes, Eileen. Yes, especially the honesty part. Honesty with yourself and with your people. Okay, next question. What types of resources or support have you found most helpful during your time as a student? Starting with Eileen.
Um, I'm gonna pat my professors and faculty members on a pat on the back because they've been the biggest help. When I started, I didn't know I was gonna do all of this, couldn't have dreamt it, nor did I think I could write a systematic literature review, but here I am. And it's all to help with them. And I think growing up in the school system, sometimes you hear like how harsh and unforgiving college can be. Like, oh, your professors aren't going to let you do this. You know, we probably all heard it at some point. And that couldn't have been further than the truth. They want you to learn and grow, so they will connect you to whatever resources you need. And I didn't know this until probably my second or third semester in how helpful the University Writing Center and library are. I had taken a while for financial reasons that I couldn't go to a 4-year college after my early college high school days. And so it had been years since I wrote a paper, and I was absolutely terrified at my first paper. And I had only, wherever I went, we only did MLA. So APA was completely new to me and they were extremely helpful. They help you brainstorm, make outlines, understand concepts. Your librarian can help you conduct research. They even have a research advisory program. And you can utilize these resources remotely and even after hours because I've had to use the Writing Center after 5 p.m. once I get off work. So it's absolutely amazing. And I think not enough people know about it. And it took me forever to figure that out.
Yeah. Dude, the writing center people also are on top of it. They know styles that I have no idea about. I
Yeah.
I can't even. APA, I'm okay. Chicago, don't talk to me.
Yeah, whenever I had my first and only Chicago paper, I was like, who's Chicago? Because I've
What?
never heard of them.
A citation form. I don't get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Cameron. So sorry. Off
Yeah.
to you.
Same resources. The Writing Center is huge. In the education department, they tell you to go to the Writing Center or email the Writing Center. Being an online student, you have to contact them, um, via email. But that has always been what I've been told. If you're struggling with writing, if you're not sure how to create the citation, go to the Writing Center. And from what Eileen's just said, like they are very on top of it and what you have said as well. As far as other resources, though, I think my professors have been incredibly resourceful. If we have questions or we want to get their idea about a certain topic or how to create content for a certain subject that we're teaching. For me, it's science and social studies. I'll just go to my teachers and ask, what would you do in this scenario? Or what have you seen done in the past? As educators, we are often told, like, you need to collaborate and lean on each other. And that's exactly what we do. We lean on each other for ideas. And we also do depend on those outside resources, like the Writing Center, frequently.
Oh yeah. Dude, professors are killing it. They are killing it. They should get paid more. What? Who's it?
Uh-huh.
Maybe some more. We'll see. Okay. Next question. Looking back, what is something you wish you had known before starting your program? And I'll start with Cameron.
I had a quite tumultuous experience in university before I got to App State. I think I mentioned before, I started college right out of high school. I actually went to East Carolina and I was a music major. I was a vocal performance and education double major, and I really wanted to teach music. But what I wasn't prepared for at the time was being away from home, going from an incredibly sheltered environment to now I'm on my own and I have to figure things out. And I think I sort of took advantage of being alone and for the first time ever and being able to do whatever I wanted. And it kind of destroyed me like mentally, emotionally, physically. And I kind of lost track of who I was and where I was going and why I was even there. So I think if I could look back, if I could go all the way back to when I was 17, fresh out of high school and going to college, and actually done research on the schools that I was going to go to, I knew I could get into East Carolina, so I did. But I didn't even think to look at App State, where I probably would have found more of a community, where I might have felt more at home. And specifically the online program, I do wish I had known about it sooner. However, I will say it took me a while to discover what I wanted to do and the path that I really wanted to be on. Becoming a teacher was never in the cards for me. My mom's a teacher. Backstory on that, she's a teacher. She works really hard, but she was always stressed out, it seemed. It didn't seem that she was fulfilled. So to me, education was not the way to go because of that until I landed in the substituting field. And I knew I would feel comfortable in a school because I grew up in a school, literally. From a tiny baby, my mom was teaching while I was in her womb until now. Like I've always felt comfortable in that school or in a school setting. So I knew that once I started subbing and I felt fulfilled, I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm going to do. Um, I wish I had known that App State had a middle grades program a lot sooner. Um, and I'm very glad to have found it. But one thing that I didn't know when I first started was just how much fun I was going to have and how much of a community I was going to be able to build and how many friends I would make through the online program. So if I could go back and tell little Cameron to go to App State and be an online student in this cohort,
Yeah.
I would totally do that.
That is amazing, Cameron. Thank you. Eileen.
Something I wish I would have known sooner is how well professors responded to questions and they welcome, when I mean any question, it's any question, big or small, and how willing they are to meet with you about critical conversations about social issues, is really how I built those connections. Because one thing that was super afraid of was, well, actually two things. One, that because I was so far away, how am I going to get these recommendation letters? How am I going to um, get these or form like read these academic relationships with them and seem like I'm disingenuous, like I'm only reaching out because I want this letter from you. I didn't know how to bridge that gap between me and them. And also one thing that made me afraid about asking questions is seeming that I was underqualified to be in the social work program, because I think pretty much almost any profession, you have a level of responsibility to the population that you're going to serve. And specifically with social work, sometimes their life is quite literally in your hands, with being able to connect them with being qualified to be able to provide the services that they need and bridge any health disparities or gaps in care. And so, for quite a while there, I was just so afraid. Like I would say, yes, I understand. But then when I would leave, I would go on YouTube or go somewhere to look up whatever I did not understand or grasp from that course or from that topic. So I wish I would have known how welcoming they were going to be, because I think it would have saved me a lot of time and a lot of stress. And once you kind of get over that, or once I got over that, everything like changed for me completely. And in some of these, I would just reach out to them like, hey, so we just had this panel about LGBTQIA within healthcare or immigration and the public charge. Like, how is it affecting it? Because typically for social work programs, you kind of hear about this. A lot of it is about policy, and so I would go to those, and then I'd reach out to a professor, and I'm like, "Hey, you were there. Like, would you like to meet to just discuss and have a critical conversation about this?" And really, that's how it was. And they like to hear your opinion, and sometimes they give you guidance as to why a problem is a problem, so you get a different perspective too. And I wish I would have known that a lot sooner.
Oh, yeah. And I think it can change your whole educational experience, having that community and having that support. And also, all of these professors, they are in their fields because they love them and they would love to chat to someone else who loves them. And even I can see how it can be intimidating, but the amount of resources and support you would get just from starting maybe one conversation about something common can just go so far. Okay, we are on to our last and final question. If you could give one piece of advice to an online student, what would it be? And I'll start with Eileen.
My biggest advice is get comfortable being uncomfortable in social work specifically. The social work profession requires you to make really deep reflections about yourself, your biases, assumptions, blind spots that you might have about a population. And you need to be vulnerable to be able to really get as much as you're going to get out of this experience. And you're going to have to lean into it with complete honesty. um, Also, although the material might seem similar across different courses, I promise you that you will always come out with something new, whether it's about yourself or a population or a community that you're working with. You'll always learn something different about the systems that shape people's lives. And to take each assignment seriously, because you don't need to be afraid about being vulnerable. I think within vulnerability, you'll be able to change and grow. And as social workers, we're responsible to continuously grow and become culturally aware about the populations that we're going to be taking care of once we graduate.
That is fantastic. Thank you, Eileen. Over to Cameron.
Okay. It's really hard to come up with just one piece of advice for new students. But I think a very important part of being a middle grades educator is understanding your philosophy. And teachers get tired of hearing it, but you need to know your why. Why are you there? What is your purpose? What do you want to get out of it? Because you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. Are you there to learn, or are you there to just float by and hopefully come out with a degree? I think your personal philosophy, understanding the philosophy of a middle school teacher is very important. And just like a minor piece of advice is celebrate your wins. Like if you get into the program, if you have been wondering what you wanted to do for your whole life and finally you are here, celebrate that. Be proud of yourself. Um, you know, tell everyone, like post everything, like on social media, Instagram, X, wherever you post, let people know that you're a part of this community now. Going back to um, advocating for yourself, let people know you're here, take up space, because you are now part of a bigger force than yourself. And join our club, be part of CMLA, you know, get involved.
Yes, that is awesome. Well, that is all the questions that we have for today. I just want to say thank you guys so much for being here and for sharing your experience. I know I appreciate it, and I know the students that will be watching this will appreciate it. And so, to the students that are watching this, thank you for your time. I hope you have a smoother transition into your online experience, and just know that we are here to support you. All righty. Thank you guys.